we'll be hearing from Kaylee and Keith in just a minute, but first I want to outline the voting process. It starts tonight. We're using online voting it's a national, the party pretty much insists that we do it this way, and they've got good experience with it, and it gets us our results very quickly. So the voting will open at 7 o'clock tonight and run until 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And by 7:30 tomorrow night, we should have the results, computers. So, and we're going to meet at the Adventure Hotel tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And at 7:30, we should be learning out who our candidate is, and we can have a celebration and launch our campaign then.
Keep 8 o'clock at Adventure Hotel.
8 o'clock?
Is the announcement. Yeah.
It might be 8 o'clock. I thought it was 7 o'clock. I'm told it's 8 o'clock. Okay,
Public
it's a
announcement.
shifting playing field. So at 8 o'clock tomorrow night at the Adventure Hotel, we'll announce, that's the safest thing to bet. They promised us the results at 1 minute after 7:30. Maybe we should promise them for 8 o'clock. Over promise and under deliver. Later today, actually at 7 o'clock today, I'm told, you should get an email in your inbox from the NDP. It'll come from simplyvoting.ca. And the subject line will be Columbia-Kootenay-Southern Rockies nomination contest. And that email is your key to voting over the next 24-hour period. It won't take you 24 hours, I promise. The email is pretty simple. Oh, but here's one thing. If you don't see it right away, check your junk mailbox before you panic, okay? If you don't see the email in your inbox right away, check your junk mailbox before you panic. The email will include 2 links in it. The first link is completely straightforward. You click on that link and it identifies you through your email address because you've got that email, and you just go and you vote online and you make your choice. Click the box, and when you see a green check mark on the screen, your vote has been counted. Does that sound straightforward? It sounds straightforward. If it doesn't work though, there will be a second link that you could fall back on, and you could go to that link. You'll have to put in an authorization code, which will also be in the email there, and then you will be able to vote, and that will be counted, and you'll get the green check mark on the screen. So don't panic, you'll get the green check mark and your vote will be counted. Easy peasy. Now, there are some people who are not receiving emails. We have members who don't want email, or who don't have email, so they will get to vote by phone. Now, we have to call them with the phone number that they have to call to vote. And that's a bit of an onerous process. There's only about 40 of them out of the 500 members we have in the riding. So, but we're going to do that tonight so that they get a chance to vote too. If by any chance, shortly after 7, you don't get an email, or you can't find an email, or you're hyperventilating because you desperately want to vote, you can email this address, and it's, to be honest, slip of paper I give you later too, but it's CKSR, Columbia-Southern Rockies, initials CKSR.nomination.ndp.ca. At ndp.ca. Thank you. I knew there was an ad in there somewhere. CKSR.nomination@ndp.ca. Thanks, Keith. Okay, please vote electronically if at all possible. It works very effectively and gives us a really fast count. The expectation is we will all vote electronically as much as possible, except those who absolutely can. I will now also remind you that you had to be a valid member by January 13th this year to be eligible to vote. There's a cutoff period. So you had to be a member, and you've got a list. There's about 500 names of people who were members in good standing as of the end of January 13th. If you weren't, it's too late now. Doesn't mean you can't get involved in the campaign, doesn't mean you can't donate. And they've changed it. If you do a donation, you are not automatically resubscribed as a member. You have to go online and sign a form saying you want to be a member and put in $10. So that's the way it works, but I just wanted to be clear. So I hope everybody here gets a chance to vote. I will recap this again briefly later. I know it's pretty detailed. I'll recap it later, but that's it. After the meeting, if you still have questions, please come and talk to me. I think it's straightforward. Does that seem very clear? Is that pretty clear? Okay, we're gonna get to our speeches. We didn't decide who was going first. And I didn't want to do, I wanted to do this behind. Who wants to call? Keith, you call tonight. Hills it is. Kaylee, you'll go first.
Excellent.
So first I want to invite up David Burrows, who's going to be the nominator for 2 minutes, a small 2-minute speech for Kaylee Linz. David, come on up and stand. You can stand here and address the crowd. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is David Burrows. I'm a relatively new resident to Nelson. I function as the Anglican priest at St. Saviour's. So I have known Kaylee for just under 2 years. And normally when I know somebody at that for that period of time, I don't take a chance on nominating, but there's been a few mitigating circumstances in which I've had an opportunity to know Kaylee a little bit better. In particular, she has been a member of our church board, providing excellent support and honesty in her and authenticity in her statements. But moreover, the most important is I helped to prepare her for her marriage. And without revealing details, anything like that, it is a process in which you get to know people a little bit more intimately and get to understand what makes them tick and what makes them function really well and how they work with other people. And so I was very privileged to have that opportunity. So from this time, I have realized that Kaylee has great leadership and great character. I choose to nominate Kaylee because she's an effective communicator. She is easily able to listen and to speak to issues. She doesn't shy away from issues that involve conflict, and she approaches me as quite a good conflict manager. And she also bridges the generation gap quite well. In faith communities these days, there's a lot of older people in congregations, and sometimes there can be a challenge between the old guard and the new guard. And so when I see that kind of thing, I realize that can't be the case. Sorry, I'm getting a little long-winded. Second, collaboration. She has humility and courage, and she works hard in a team to get goals accomplished. She is flexible and she's solution-driven. Finally, compassion. She listens and understands and is willing to walk with others alongside them and willing to be with people in their discomfort to provide aid and perspective. Because of that, I believe she has a vision to bring the NDP forward in this area, ultimately because she believes in human dignity and advocates for a better present and future for everyone in the area.
Thank you so much, David. I appreciate all of that. All right. There are some chairs still available if anyone wants to shimmy around a little bit. Okay, comfy.
Leslie, are there chairs back there as well in your part there? Are there some chairs over there? Do people switch in? No?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of room over there still?
All right, well, before I talk about myself, I want to talk about my grandpa. I was raised in an intergenerational household with my mom and my grandparents. And it was my grandpa who would make me oatmeal every morning, pack my lunch, and drive me to school, and then to dance class. In short, he was my person. Ken Lins was a contractor. He also worked at Mitchell Building Supply and occasionally as a commercial truck driver. In his semi-retirement, he worked as a janitor. And as a kid, I would go along with my grandparents and pick up the garbage and vacuum. Needless to say, he taught me the value of hard work and how to patch drywall, a very useful life skill. But I was most amazed by Ken Lins when we would go grocery shopping. We would often be stopped in the produce aisle, in the bakery section, and sometimes also in the dairy. And when we left the store, I would say to him, "Grandpa, how do you know everyone in Castlegar?" Part of the answer is clear if you drive through Canary. I can point to the driveways he poured, the homes that he built from the ground up, and the kitchens that he renovated. More importantly, though, people remembered his character. I talk about my grandpa because he did not see himself as a community builder. But building community is exactly what he did when he showed up in service to others with a commitment to quality work and a genuine interest and curiosity in those around him. A funny thing about my grandpa is that while I always wore my political affiliation on my sleeve, he would never tell me who he voted for. I do know he really hated Trudeau Sr. The anti-Quebec sentiment of a certain generation of Western man is a conversation for another day. But I do think it's a safe bet to say that he was a conservative. The irony is not lost on me that I spend every day of my life striving to live up to my ideals of social justice, ultimately to make a conservative man proud. I have to consciously remind myself of this dynamic as we navigate one of the most politically polarized moments any of us remember. I have to remind myself that as a social democrat, I'm a social democrat because we don't just take care of each other, we show up for everyone. Now is the time to build bridges across this riding, to have the courage to reach out beyond our progressive base. I think it's important that you know that my grandfather passed away just after my 18th birthday. My motivation in this race and in the progressive movement at large is to help create the kind of world that he would have wanted for me. When I look at the commitments of the NDP, I know that this world is possible. Our job now is to communicate not just how we take care of the most vulnerable, but how bold, progressive, economic, and social policies are truly in the best interest of every single person in this country. When we talk about massive investments in green infrastructure projects, we're not just talking about replacing a few big polluters. We're talking about building the economy of the future and creating wealth in a way that is compatible with our continued existence on this planet. When we talk about alleviating poverty, we're also talking about keeping people out of the emergency room and keeping dollars flowing into primary care in a way that benefits everyone. After 15 years of organizing and activism within the NDP, after talking to supporters and those who really disagree with us across 3 provinces and in both official languages, I know how to be a bridge. I am ready to step into this election fight. I am ready to challenge Rob Morrison, and I know that we collectively, as the NDP, are ready to lead this country into a bold, progressive future. Thank you.
Sorry, Emerson, is there something? Have we got a problem?
It's just timing stuff. Can I just have it right down some image on pencil?
No, I'm sorry, that got changed.
Okay.
5. 2 for the nominators, 5.
June is 35.
Okay, sure.
He's
Sorry.
the director.
Now I want to call up Jesse Woodward, who's going to nominate Keith Page for us and introduce Keith Page. Thanks, Jesse.
Oh, you're welcome. Hello, everyone. So my name is Jesse Woodward. I'm a second term city councillor along with Mr. Councillor Page. I worked with him for 6.5 years. And I feel like what I witnessed with his character is his ability to know how to work the levers of governance. And I've watched him at city council. I've watched him at AKBLG, which is the local version of the UBCM, which is the provincial, what do you call it, provincial municipal meetup we do every year. He's the president of AKBLG, or was the president of AKBLG, step back. He's worked extensively in the regional district. And what I've seen with his character is he's able to, and his skills, he's able to, as the term building bridges was used, he's able to do that, but he's also able to really understand how the functioning of governance works, both at the municipal level and the provincial level, which is really key. So I feel like him stepping into this role, if he gets the role, he'll really be able to hit the ground running because he understands what governance is. And he understands the relationship between the absolute necessity of good relations between municipal and provincial government. So half of what we run this town on is grants. So a huge part of the job of local governance is working with provincial government to make our town function. So I know I only have a few minutes. I just want to say I really have been impressed with Keith in the last 6.5 years, and what he can do, how much he's gotten done, the bridges he's built, the networks he's made. And I feel like when I walk around this town, I see many, many things that Keith has been a big part of turning into reality. So thank you very much. He's a great candidate, and all the best, everyone.
Keith Page.
Thank you, everybody. The first thing I want to start with is actually just how grateful I am that you've all shown up today to show your support for Kaylee and myself in this process in selecting a strong candidate. I think I've heard a lot from people about how we both are strong candidates in this competition, and you guys have a tough choice ahead of you because Rob Morrison is going to have a hard time regardless of what happens after tonight. I'm really grateful for that. The thing when I first was invited into running for council was I talked to fellow councilors, fellow mayors that had been there before. And something that Anna Purcell told me really resonated, that it was an opportunity to get a bird's eye view to understand how local government works and how the systems were put together. And that was really enticing to me, and I was really curious to take on that work. And I went into it full-hearted with all the effort to learn local government, to understand where we had problems, where we could find solutions, and where we could figure out what our shared common values were so that we could make progress on the things that were most affecting us. As I've continued to do that over the course of learning through city council, it became apparent to me that we at times, and I think Jesse will remember this, there's very much an us and them mentality within the city and the regional district and trying to get things done. And so I started to pay attention a lot to what we were doing in recreation. And it reminded me a lot, because I'm originally had grown up out in rural central Alberta, raising cattle, farming 6 sections of land. I was running around in combines before I had a driver's license. And one of the things that was really seminal to that was we lived on the same farm as my great-grandmother and my grandmother and my grandparents. And it was a very strong church family. I come from a family of 7. I have 6 siblings and 35 nieces and nephews. And one of the things about being from a strong Catholic family and
the strict ideology that comes along with that, especially for a gay kid, is my grandmother recognizing and having those strong Christian values, but from a different denomination, spent a lot of time taking us to different congregations every Sunday. So I would go to Anglican congregations, I would go to Catholic congregations. I was the altar boy for years at St. Joseph's in Three Hills. I would go to the Mennonites for Sunday. We would do Sunday school there, and it taught me how much we shared between what sometimes seemed like massive chasms in ideology, and how much was the same. And I saw the same thing happening between Regional District and the City of Nelson. And so we worked through recreation. We instituted at the behest of the Area E Director at the time, Ramona Faust, a review of the service. We had some hard conversations over the course of many years to renew the rural consent within that big service. It's the biggest taxation piece that we have. And it's one of the places that we deliver a public institution for community benefit, for the benefit of not just the city, but for everyone. And through those conversations, we landed in a place where now that service runs a lot more effectively and there's a lot less conflict, and we're able to have productive conversations on where we're going. As I dug in and learned the systems and learned how we needed to get things on the agenda and how we needed to move things forward and build planning, I continued to take up interest in the other orders of government that were attached and associated with that. So I joined the AKBLG board, I became its president. I started to listen to the mayors and councilors across the Kootenay boundary, started to figure out the advocacy pieces that we weren't doing, that we could be doing, how we could be leveraging those institutions. I started working with my presidents of my sister area associations. We started collaborating more outside of the UBCM to move things like legislative review for regional districts. And we started building more networks to get more of the things that we knew needed to get done, and not just leaving it to the processes that had stagnated over time. We kept renewing them, because these are all the important lesson that I've been learning through all this is these are all human systems, and human systems, like any living system, need constant care, attention, renewal, and maintenance. And we always have to be coming in with fresh energy to have those conversations, to hear what's not working, to adjust what needs to be adjusted, to trim and curate what doesn't work anymore, and to add and be responsive to what the needs of the day happen to be. And so it's been my great pleasure to talk to people from across the riding. I have really deepened my understanding because I've been having conversations with people in Kimberley and people in Fernie and people in Trail. I've been hearing about the fears that people have about what's going on down south. I hear the hope and the opportunity that people feel about how they can rediscover their Canadian identity. For some, even simple things like being able to put their Canadian flag back up and feel that that's something they can hold on to again with some sense of pride. People look to this opportunity in time as a place where we can build stronger connections with our neighborhoods and shorten our supply chains and add value here in the country and just build a stronger Canada. And I'm committed, as I have been in Nelson and at the regional district, to building a stronger riding and building a stronger support for our constituency offices so that we can do more with what we're supposed to be doing as a member of parliament. So I'd be very honored if I was chosen to be your candidate, and if I'm not, I'd be very honored to support the candidate in all the ways that I possibly can to make sure that we secure an NDP member of parliament in this upcoming election.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you to both our excellent candidates for standing up to do this. I'm on the EDA executive, and us volunteers have been scrambling to keep up with them. They've been all over the riding. They've been gone to Caslow, Trail, Creston, Cranbrook, Kimberley, Fernie. They've had public events at all those places. They've been working really hard. I think they're great candidates.
I agree.
Believe it or not, that brings this meeting to an end. That's the end of the formal process of our evening. We're going to go on to have some questions and answers and a little bit more sociability at the end. By the way, if you promise to be nice and behave, you can sit behind me. There's comfortable seats right here. You can hear well from here. If you're not comfortable, just don't make faces behind me. That's all. Okay. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn our formal nomination meeting. Patricia, okay, and all in favor? Okay, we're now moving to the second part of the meeting, and we've got another about half an hour to go. How are we doing for time?
It's like 5 after, not even, just after 6.
Before we do the questions, I'm gonna do the little talk about how to get involved. So, yes, this is the time. We've got a little slip of paper I want you to have. Everybody gets one. I hope I made it up. I want to talk just a bit. This has fallen to me to do this job, to talk a bit about what you and I and what we can achieve together with this campaign. First, I want to ask a question. Has anyone here actually met Rob Morrison? That's great. I'm glad to hear it because I haven't. He's an uncommon man in our ranks. You don't see him very much. He wants to represent the Columbia-Kootenay again, but he hasn't been around all that much. And there's word he apparently lives in White Rock. So you've probably seen his flyers, those little blue flyers in the mail to householders that the taxpayers pay for. And
Every single photo has him standing by himself
yeah,
without any other people around him.
appropriate. And I know we read them. I look at them. There's not much there. It doesn't take long usually. I know he hates the carbon tax, and I know he wants to help you and your family. How he's going to do that, I'm not exactly sure, but that's what he said. I'll get to the nitty gritty of some of the conservative record for you in a minute here, but first I want to tell you a bit about myself. I'm old. It's a long story. Lucky for you, I'll give you the short version. I was born a New Democrat in Medicine, Alberta. My parents, Lord and Agnes, were very active members for Parliament, with very active members of the party. My mom ran for Parliament. Agnes ran for Parliament. She lost to Medicine. It was a so-called riding, but she did. They were great. My mom and dad idolized Tommy Douglas. They knew him personally, and they just thought the world of him. And I do too. He was going across Canada on his final tour. He did a final speaking tour right across the country, and he was coming to Calgary. My mom said, "You got to come. We're going to go see Tommy Douglas." I was 21, 22. I didn't want to go. Dad, Mom, I had other things to do. She said, "You're coming to Calgary." I went. I saw Tommy Douglas. He's a stunning orator, just stunning. He made me laugh. He made me cry. He made me hope. It was great.
They made you vote.
I've always voted. Anyway, he told a version of the Mouseland story. Now, it's a famous story. It's, the one where Canada is governed by first the Black Cat Party and then the White Cat Party. And, if the people get tired of the White Cats, then they vote for the Black Cats. But unfortunately, they keep voting in the Black Cats and the White Cats. But all these rich cats only have one real agenda, and that's eating more mice. So it's pretty darn relevant today because it looks like we're about to switch to the Black Cats, or it did until a month ago anyway. Then we're going to switch from the White Cats to Black Cats, and so much will change, I promise you. I don't know, so it looks like the Black Cats are coming in. I don't know how scary you find Pierre Poilievre, but the similarity of his style and rhetoric and the catastrophe that's going on down south right now is pretty damn scary, I think. What does he stand for? It's not too clear, but like Rob Morrison, I know he hates the carbon tax, the carbon fee. He doesn't ever talk about the fact that it's refunded to everybody. And he wants to help me and my family. He's a nice guy. But just this week, I got a short list, and I'm gonna read it, it's not long, of Pierre Poilievre's record in Parliament and what he voted and spoke for in Parliament. He's been in Parliament for quite a while. He voted against strengthening public pensions. He voted to raise the retirement age to 67, and they did raise Harper raised the retirement age to 67. It's since been gone back down to 65. He made a commitment to roll back the gun control laws to keep our children safe, and he voted against background checks. The last time under Harper, when the Conservatives were in power, they cut healthcare funding by billions of dollars. Poilievre and the Conservatives, they gave tax cuts to corporations, but they cut our healthcare. Poilievre and the Conservatives voted against free dental care for children and seniors. They voted against universal pharmacare. Poilievre opposes $10 day program, daycare, childcare program, and he referred to it as the government's babysitting bureaucracy. Poilievre, maybe worst of all, will put abortion rights at risk. And he's been very clear that he will allow the anti-abortion activists to set the agenda by leaving women's rights at the mercy of the most extreme members of his caucus, which is fully anti-abortion activists. I think that's scary. That's why I'm here today, because like you, I want to stop that, and I want to stop it here in our part. There's things that we can do here to win back our natural NDP riding. It's our riding, we've won it before, we can win it back. And it's absolutely the most important thing we can do to stop Pierre Poilievre and look to the future of Canada. It's our duty to our country to defeat a Conservative in this riding. It's really important, that's why I'm here. So we're helping to choose a candidate who can give us our best shot at winning. But we're just starting. To run a campaign to protect our country, we have to raise a lot of money. We have to make a lot of phone calls, put up a lot of signs, knock on a lot of doors, and deliver a lot of leaflets and talk with all our neighbors. We're going to all have to pitch in as we are able. And that's what this form is for. I'd like everybody to fill it out before you leave today. And whether you're able to, we got some pens, and you make a contribution, a campaign contribution. If you contribute $500, it'll come back if you're paying taxes. You can get $350 of it back on your tax refund. It'll only cost you $150. It's great. So we ask you to pledge today. You can write a check today, or you can sign a pledge today. We'll get back to you. We'll hold you to your word. And then fill in your name and address and your contact. And you can click the part where it says, call me, I want to help. You can help with phoning voters, canvassing, staffing the office, the sign group, fundraising events, or even if you just want to take some literature and talk to your neighbors. Get in touch, be part of our campaign. The more the merrier. It's going to be a good one. So with all our work and all our support, before you go, fill this out and turn it back into us. Please. The easiest way to donate is to donate online. It's easy for the volunteers who run. No cash. Yeah, it's easiest for the volunteers who run the party here. It automatically goes into our account. Now, if you go to ndp.ca and donate, that will go into the federal party coffers. But if you go to our website and donate, it'll go to the party, but it'll go first to our riding association to help us here to win. So the address for that is ndp-cksr.ca. There's a donate button in the top right corner. Click there, and then the money stays locally to run our campaign. Very important. There's a contact for our EDA there too. So fill out this. We're going to have a great time together and do our absolute best for our country. It's a crucial time, as you are well aware, I'm sure. This is a crucial time. So thank you so much for stepping up. Thank you for coming tonight and showing your interest. In a good Canadian way, we're going to join together and do what we can to make things better. Because my voice is gonna break. I'm sorry. Because Tommy Douglas said, courage, my friends, it's not too late to build a better world. Thank you very much.